The Raven by Edgar Allan Poe. Once upon a midnight dreary, while I pondered, weak and weary, over many a quaint and curious volume of forgotten lore, while I nodded, nearly napping, suddenly there came a tapping, as someone gently rapping at my chamber door. "'Tis some visitor," I muttered, tapping at my chamber door. "Only this and nothing more." Ah, distinctly I remember, it was in the bleak December, and each separate dying ember wrought its ghost upon the floor. Eagerly I wished the morrow, vainly I had sought to borrow from the book's surcase of sorrow for the lost Lenore, for the rare and radiant maiden, whom the angels named Lenore, nameless here for evermore. And the silken, sad, and certain rustling of each purple curtain filled me with fantastic terrors never felt before, so that now, to still the beating of my heart, I stood repeating, "'Tis some visitor, entreating entrance at my chamber door." Some late visitor, ensuring entrance at my chamber door. This is it, and nothing more. Presently my soul grew stronger, hesitating then no longer. "Sir and I, or madam, surely your forgiveness I implore. The fact is I was napping, so gently you came rapping, so faintly you came tapping at my chamber door. That I scare, I sure I heard you. Here I opened wide the door. Darkness there and nothing more. Deep into the darkness peering, long I stood there, wondering, fearing, doubting, dreaming dreams no mortal ever dared to dream before. But the silence was unbroken, the stillness gave no token. The only word there was spoken was the whispered word Lenore. This I whispered, and the echo murmured back to the word Lenore. Merely this and nothing more. Back into the chamber turning, all my soul within me burning. Soon again I heard tapping, somewhere louder than before. "Surely," said I, "surely that is something at my window lattice. Let me see, then, what threat is, and then this mystery explore. Let my heart be still for a moment as this mystery explore. 'Tis the wind and nothing more." Open here I flung the shutter, wind with a merry flit and flutter. In there stepped a stately raven of the saintly days of yore. Not the least obedience made he, not a minute stopped or stayed he, but then, with mine of lord or lady, perched above my chamber door, perched upon a bust of Pallas just above my chamber door, perched and sat, and nothing more. Then this ebony bird, beguiling my sad fancy into smiling, by the grave and stern decorum of this countenance at war. "Only thy crest shall be shorn and shaven, though," I said. "What, sure, no craven, ghastly grin and ancient raven, wandering from the nightly shore, tell me what thy lord, namely, in the night's Plutonian shore." Quoth the raven, nevermore. Much I marveled this ungainly fowl to hear discourse so plainly, though its answer little meaning, little relevancy it bore. For we cannot help agreeing that no living human being ever yet was blessed with seeing birds above his chamber door. Bird or beast upon the scope should bust above his chamber door, with such name as nevermore. But the raven, sitting lonely on the placid bust, spoke only that one word, as if his soul in that one word he did outpour. Nothing further than he uttered, not a feather than he fluttered, till I scarcely more than murmured, "Other friends have flown before. On the morrow he will leave me as my hopes have flown before." Then the bird said, "Nevermore." Started as the stillness, broken by reply so aptly spoken. "Doubtless," said I, "what is utters is the only stock and store, caught from some unhappy master whom unmerciful disaster followed fast and followed faster, till his songs were better before, till the dirges of his hope that melancholy burden bore of nevermore." The raven still beguiling all my fancy into smiling, straight I wheeled into a cushioned seat in front of the bed and bust the door. Then upon the velvet zinc I betook myself to looking fancy to fancy, thinking what this ominous bird of yore, what is this grim, ungainly, ghastly, gaunt, and ominous bird of yore meant in croaking nevermore. That I sat up and this I sat, engaged in guessing, but no syllable expressing to the fowl whose fire rays now burned into my bosom's core. This and more I sat divining, with my head and ease reclining on the cushion's velvet lining, that damp light gloated o'er, but whose velvet violet lining, and with the damp light gloating o'er, she shall pass on nevermore. Then without, as the air grew denser, perfumed from an unseen censer, swung by Sephirim, whose footfalls tinkled in the tufted floor. "Wretch," I cried, "thy God has lent thee, by these angels he has sent thee, respite, and nothing from thy memories of Lenore. Craftless kind from fiend, and forget this lost Lenore. quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, I said, thing of evil, prophet still, if bird or devil, whether tempest sent or whether tempest tossed thee here ashore, desolate ye all undaunted on this desert land enchanted, on this home of horror haunted, tell me truly, I implore, is there balm in Gilead? Tell me, implore, quoth the raven, nevermore. Prophet, I said, thing of evil, prophet fared, if bird or devil, by that haven that bends above us, by that God we both adore, tell the soul with soul laden, if within the distance aiden, it shall clasp a sainted maiden, whose angel's name Lenore, clasp a rare and radiant maiden, whose angel's name Lenore, quoth the raven, nevermore. And the raven, never flitting, still sitting, on the pallid bust of Phallus just above my chamber door. And his eyes have all the seeming of demons that is dreamy. The lamplight of him streaming throws his shadow on the floor, and my soul from out that shadow that lies floating on my door shall be lifted nevermore.